Greetings and welcome to another webcast. My name is Wallace Smith and it's wonderful to have you here. I have in my hands an op-ed from the LA Times dated May 2nd, 2016 from their website. The title is, "Why is Adultery Still a Crime?" Why is adultery still a crime? And it starts off, and it's speaking of a presidential candidate, in particular Donald Trump, Mr. Trump, and it says here in the first sentence, "One of the curiosities of America's current presidential campaign is that the Republican frontrunner is a self-confessed serial adulterer, yet few conservative voters seem to care." Let me say this, I'm going to disagree with a lot that's in this op-ed, but the author, Deborah L. Rode, really does make some good points and some good observations. Here we have a presidential candidate who has admitted in various biographies or autobiographies that he has committed many adulteries, that he's been part of many quote-unquote affairs, and boast about it to a certain extent, and yet so many voters don't seem to care anymore. She points out that so many people aren't holding it against him suggests a tolerance that should be better reflected in our laws and policies. Interesting point or comment to make or position to take. She says that adultery is still illegal in the United States in 21 states. There are 21 states in which courts can bring up charges against you for adultery. Her point here is that often they're not brought up. That is, often you committed adultery, but no one's really trying to seek out the details and prosecute you. It's often only when courts are pressed on the matter that some sort of fine is applied, or 90 days in jail, or whatever the case may be. If no one cares anymore, why is it still on the books? She actually quotes a particular scholar. She writes, as legal scholar Thurman Arnold observed 3/4 of a century ago, most unenforced criminal laws survive in order to satisfy moral objections to our established modes of conduct. They are unenforced because we want to continue our conduct, and unrepealed because we want to preserve our morals. Now that's a pretty good observation. We have certain laws that reflect a moral code, but we don't want to obey that moral code anymore. And so we don't enforce the law because we want to keep doing what we're doing without being punished. But we leave the laws in our law code because we want to somehow feel like we're preserving our morality. That is an interesting dissonance. And she says because of that dissonance, we should just get rid of laws that punish adultery. Her argument is essentially that you have, for instance, corporations and civic institutions that will punish adultery by demotions or fines or by firing you or other things. She lists, for example, the military, police officers, fire department, FBI agents, or FBI trainees. People are rated based on their marital fidelity or infidelity, and it impacts how they're treated in their job by their employer, whether or not they're even hired. And she says, well, that doesn't really affect job performance, but let me ask you, does that make any sense? Think about the military, the FBI or police officers. Don't we count on them to have some kind of powerful sense of duty to their vows? I do. That's what I would expect from them. The FBI handles some of the hugest secrets our country has to handle. I would hope that they're people of integrity and people that feel the necessity of following a vow, following the dictates of a vow that they have made. To me, that does impact job performance. It does impact a job evaluation possibility. So I don't understand the reasoning there. She highlights towards the end, there are better ways to signal respect for marriage and better uses of resources than policing private consensual sexual activity. I have to say, she does make a good argument based on the fact that our laws and our actual thinking don't match. If we don't care about adultery, why is it still illegal? But I would say we're going in the wrong direction there. Part of the argument that you see here, that you see pretty consistently in our society, is that somehow morals and law don't have anything to do with each other. That we shouldn't try to legislate morality. Well, really here at the conclusion of this webcast, there's actually 2 points I want to make. One is that is a conceit and a deceit sometimes. The fact is, morality and laws cannot be separated. The basis of our legal code is almost always rooted in some sense of morality. Often when someone says, well, we need to separate laws from morality, Often, perhaps not always, but often, it's because rather they want to change the laws to match a different morality. Their morality has changed, and so they want the law to reflect a new morality. It's not that morality plays no role at all. It's just not the morality. It doesn't reflect the morality that they want anymore. And that's a shame, but that really is a fact. The fact is our morality informs our legal system, and our legal system reflects our morality. They're not somehow magically separable. But the second point I want to make is that the idea that there's no consequence to society because of adultery, that is a lie. That is a lie from the devil. The fact is, family is at the very foundation of society and civilization. Every family, every marriage is a brick in that foundation. And society does have a vested interest. I'm not trying to tell people what laws to pass or not, but I am stating a fact of civilization. There is a reason that thou shalt not commit adultery is one of the big 10. Because God recognizes that as a fundamental necessity in a society. If we think adultery can just exist unpunished in a civilization, and that civilization can continue, then we are in for a rude awakening. Thanks for watching. Please check out all we have to offer at tomorrowsworld.org.